started doing my research. FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, which I'm sure a lot of e-commerce people are aware of. I was watching an episode of Game of Thrones, and I saw King Robert drink out of a horn mug, and that's where the seed was planted. And so that was my first product. And the first week, it was just family and friends buying it, and I was like, oh, hey, maybe this isn't working. And then maybe day 5 or something, I got a sale came in from some guy I'd never heard of, and I was like, ooh, that's interesting. I don't know this person. And then maybe 12 hours later, another one, and then 6 hours later, another one, and it was like ding, 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 ding. And I was like, wow. Oh my God, I'm out. And I basically planned quitting the job. And two months later, I moved to Thailand.
Welcome to 7-Figure Entrepreneur Podcast, the #1 podcast bringing you behind the scenes with real online earners. No fake gurus here. And today we have the wonderful Tyler Devon, as always. And we also have the wonderful Neil Goldsmith. Welcome to the podcast, sir. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Good to have you, man.
I was hoping I would get a wonderful as well, so thank you for
that. Yes. Wonderfuls for everybody. So this is going to be kind of cool. I have no clue what you do. You got passed on by Chris Miguel, who was an awesome podcast. Can't speak. The guy just he's like, oh, is the podcast on right now? He just busted out of the gym, wearing his gym clothes, put his iPhone down, and just like hat at it. And I was like, this is awesome. We'll take it. The content's good.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
That's his style for sure.
Yeah, and you were you commented on his podcast. Apparently, you were telling me that he taught you everything you knew about online marketing.
I don't want to give him too much credit.
Okay,
right? he taught me a lot. So I worked for Chris in my early 20s, and that was the agency world, the digital marketing agency world. And that was his style. I wasn't joking. Like he was able to handle a lot of different situations. And with a very casual vibe. And that's, I learned a lot from that. Like he would handle clients, like he would bring the energy, like from frantic down to like chill, where everybody could kind of connect on like a relaxed level. So I learned a lot from him, technical stuff too. So he was a jack of all trades. And so that's kind of what I became is I can do a little bit of a lot of things, but I'm not great at anything. So, but I can bring it all together. So I'm in e-commerce. So I do Amazon, Shopify, and having that broad skill set really helped me get off the ground when you don't have any money and you can't hire a bunch of people to do everything at the beginning. So doing the creative stuff, the product designing, the graphic design, a little bit of website development, a little bit of coding, content writing. Ads, Facebook ads and Amazon ads and all that stuff. So knowing how to do the basics of everything really got me off the ground.
Before you worked for Chris, did you have any skills in online, or was that your first online job?
I was a decent writer. And I was doing some social media stuff. So, but I was doing social media kind of the wrong way at the beginning, where I was at an agency and I was just BSing all the content, and they were just happy to have that because I could keep them keep the revenue coming in for them in terms of being able to write content for a million different businesses that I had no idea about their services. So I would just Google stuff and make it up. And then you realize over a long-term, campaigns that people aren't connecting with it necessarily, but they see their followers going up and they're like, oh, great. Like it works, but not quite. So that was my only skill set, was writing, social media. And then Chris brought me into his agency and taught me a lot of real good technical skills.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah. Very cool. So, so let's talk about what you're doing now. So you have Amazon and you have Shopify.
Yeah. So, you want me to give you the origin story and how like all of it started?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, we love it.
Cool. So,
like Wolverine.
I was in the agency world. Yeah. Right. I was in the agency world for probably about 5-6 years. Worked for Chris for like half of that time, learned a lot there. And then my specialty was SEO, PPC. And I realized like I could do this for my own brand easy. I know how to drive traffic. I know how to sell products. And my favorite clients were the e-commerce clients. So I was like, man, I really can do this. And then of course you probably heard the story a bunch of times, you know, you get failure after failure after failure. You know, I tried to start it. My first one was a t-shirt business that didn't work out. And then I had coconut oil based lube and massage oil. That's, I really still think that could work, but
I was gonna say, do you have any samples left?
I don't, but I do still have the logo in the product. It was called Coco Naughty. Awesome name.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually.
Gabe's corporate name.
Right.
Yeah, my corporate name is Naughty Octopus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Anytime I gotta get on the phone and bring that up, it's always awkward.
Yeah, a little. Where does that come from? I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just thought that like octopuses are kind of badass, and I was like, what would sound hilarious? I was like, let's just call it Naughty Octopus.
Speaking of, must watch My Octopus Teacher on Netflix.
I have.
You'll never have you eaten an octopus since then?
No, man, I never ate an octopus anyway. But yeah, those things are crazy smart.
Exactly. So anyway, back to the story.
Yeah.
So a couple failures, and then there was I was thinking about tattoo supply, getting into the machinery in there. That didn't get off the ground. Eventually, I learned about the FBA business model, and I think this sort of ties into what happened with my lifestyle too. So I always wanted to travel, but couldn't because of, you know, just being in the agency world. You can't just up and leave, 9-to-5 situation. And I came across some kind of travel program where people were working online, and they joined. I think it was Remote Year or one of these travel digital entrepreneur travel groups where you pay the organization, and then they organize your travel for however long, a year or something. And I was thinking how amazing that would be to be able to do that. And I was looking at the profiles of the people in the program doing the trip, and one of them had like all these similarities with my interests and my skill set. He was, you know, Muay Thai fighter, and he was in e-commerce and doing all this kind of stuff that I was interested in. And so I wrote him and I said, tell me about this. Like, how is this even possible? Like, how do you travel and do this online? He's like, and then he basically told me about the FBA business model. Started doing my research. FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, which I'm sure a lot of e-commerce people are aware of. And that's where the seed was planted. And so the whole plan was, I'm going to pick a product, develop a brand, and take it to market. And as soon as I start selling, I'm going to quit my job and start traveling. Cool. So that was 2016. And I was watching an episode of Game of Thrones, and I saw King Robert drink out of a horn mug. And I was like, that is badass. Like, that's really cool. I want one. And I wrote it down on my list of product ideas. Long story short, that ended up being the winner of all my product ideas that I was thinking of. Because
interesting.
Fun, cool, interesting potential brand could be built around a product like that. So
it's just a horn that you'd fill up with beer and drink out of?
Essentially, yes. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So that was my first product, and the first week it was just family and friends buying it, and I was like, oh, hey, maybe this isn't working. And then maybe day 5 or something, I got a sale came in from some guy I'd never heard of, and I was like, ooh, that's interesting. I don't know this person. And then maybe 12 hours later, another one. And then 6 hours later, another one. And it was like, ding, 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 ding. And I was like, wow. Oh my God, I'm out. And I basically planned quitting the job. And two months later, I moved to Thailand, and and then just bootstrap the business from overseas for the last 5 years, really.
You're the horn guy. That's crazy.
I do.
So it just started picking up. So how many
Yeah.
sales per day? Kind of like, so is this product still a product that's a winner for you?
It's still my best product.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah. So I do all medieval handcrafts now. I do swords, axes, kitchenware, jewelry, decor, wooden, leather, bone, horn, all kinds of stuff now. So the product line is growing. That's the moneymaker, is making more products.
Gotcha. So you start with the
cool.
horn, it started picking up steam. When you moved to Thailand, how many sales do you think you're generating per day?
I moved to Thailand and I had only had my one small test order. That was the only order that I had sold. So I had ordered like 200 units or something, sold out of those. And then I moved to Thailand. So it was very risky. Like I didn't have a super established business or anything. But I was just ready to rock and roll. And I think I sold out of those 200 units in like 2 weeks or something like that. And yeah, so I mean, now I'm selling a lot of those things every day. I mean, there's a big cultural reemergence and interest in medieval history, Viking history, and things like that. So there's it's a good wave that I'm riding here. I mean, there's a lot of competition now. Like I was probably the second or third guy in the market, and now there's got to be 50 or more.
Yeah, all the Viking shows are probably helping you out too. I feel like there's a new one every few months. So
Lord of Rings, like what's one of the Hobbits is?
Vikings.
Lord of the Rings.
I thought
there's tons, man.
I thought that was going to be the core of the business, though, is like these TV shows, but it's not at all, really. It helps a little bit, but there's a huge group in the United States, especially, but all over the world of medieval enthusiasts and reenactors and people that go to the festivals. And I mean, they change their names to like these Viking medieval names, and they have the hair and the beard and the tattoos, and like they're very, very like they carry around the Poetic Edda, which is like the Viking, old poems from 1,000 years ago or so. And these people are very, very, very passionate about this stuff.
Yeah, very committed.
One thing that I learned is that you can't fool these people. Like you have to really get to know your customer in order to provide them the types of services and products that are going to sell.
Very interesting, man. So like, so initially, so you were just on Amazon. Were you running any Facebook ads or anything like that? Or was it just kind of Amazon's algorithm picking you up and displaying you more?
Yeah, that was really it. So the trick is learning how to get that ball rolling in Amazon's algorithm to get you ranking organically. So I listened to, every podcast and read everything I could about how to get that thing rolling, and it worked like a charm. Now things are changing. There's more regulation in Amazon. There's less manipulation of the algorithm and of reviews. That it's harder to do now. Now the real name of the game is organically getting customers in terms of building your own lists and things. I'm sure you've heard this a million times with Shopify commerce and things like that, but getting your own lists. And so now when you launch a new product, you send an email out and you get X amount of sales just from having an existing customer base versus having to go and manipulate the algorithm to get all your family and friends to buy something that they don't want.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Not everybody's a Viking beer drinker, so
I'm not sure if I believe that, but I know where you're going with it. No, that's very interesting though, and I think that's just general good advice. So sorry, this was 2017, right?
This is 2016.
16. So I guess from 2016 to 2020, the whole FBA game's changed quite a bit then.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you got way more competition, of course. So many things happen. I mean, you have the logistics situation is a changing environment. Now you've got Amazon starting to step their foot into the logistics side of it and the supply chain side of it. You had Amazon coming in as a private labeler in selling, because they have all the data, so they see who's selling what. And in a lot of cases, they even know your suppliers because you're putting in supplier information when you're creating the shipments.
Crazy.
So they know your suppliers, they know the sales data. So what's to stop them from saying, I'm going to get into this game? Says Amazon, right? However, they got slapped down, I believe, recently in the U.S. court system for doing that.
Nice.
In terms of like that can create a monopoly in the market. So that's a good thing for third-party sellers like me. I don't think they would have been able to do it anyway. Like what I do, it's too hands-on. Like
they're probably looking more at the transaction as opposed to actually providing a customer an experience.
Yeah, true. And in the product quality, the things that I sell are very hands-on. They're all handmade things. So you got to really understand the market, the manufacturer market, and you got to be hands-on there. You got to go there really. But like Amazon wants to get into the easy stuff, like widgets that you can just print out and sell. Easy. So that kind of has been up and down. Sellers were really worried about that for a while. Now it seems like maybe not so much, because since the recent court cases, you've got an advertising ecosystem that's changing drastically. They're at the beginning, it was so simple. Their advertising system. It's like, if you know how to do Facebook or Google ads, it's like a piece of cake, because that was the world that I came from. And I know you guys are in that world as well. So guys like you that went into the Amazon game, it was like so easy to do the advertising. You do it, set it up in 5 minutes. Now it's becoming more complex, and they're offering more, targeting methods and more ad types, video ads, and you can target based on other products now. And you can, I believe they're working on maybe interest targeting and things like that. It hasn't been released yet.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if it looks a lot more like Facebook in the next two years or so.
That's very interesting.
Would you say that, so you're split across Shopify and Amazon. Is Amazon still your big revenue driver?
Yeah. Amazon's still number one. The most valuable sales to me in terms of long-term are the e-commerce sales, the Shopify sales.
Yeah.
Because you get the data, Amazon, there's another important critique, a piece of information, is that Amazon hides a lot of data now. I don't even see the last names of my customers anymore.
Wow.
When you sell on FBA, it won't even give you the last names. It's hiding a ton of data, and they won't show the full address anymore, because sellers were finding ways to extract a lot of this data and market to them like outside of Amazon. And obviously they don't want that. They want to keep everybody on it.
Yeah.
So the sales are sales. You get money, right? But in terms of creating long-term, lifetime customer value, it's much more difficult on Amazon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Would you, so based on kind of your, I was going to say, based on your experience of, doing this for, roughly 4 years now, I guess, do you still think it's important for anyone who wants to sell a product online? Do you think it's still important for them to have a piece of their business on Amazon, or would you focus more on just the Shopify side of things?
I think both. I mean, you want to be in as many places as you possibly can, as long as you're not spread too thin in terms of your management and time. But I would recommend somebody getting started to start on Amazon, because you don't need a customer list.
Gotcha.
But just like what I did, you get the ball rolling, you get sales. It's going to be harder now. 5 years later, there's more competition, but there's always opportunities. There's always new products. There's always products that can be improved, or you can even invent a new product and bring it to the market. So I recommend Amazon as a starting place, and you can vet the product there as well. It's probably better to vet it even before you bring it to Amazon, but building out an entire website, and it's a lot of time and effort and money. Most people, especially if you don't know how to build websites.
Yeah. So on your Shopify side of things now, do you do a lot of paid traffic for that, or how do you get most of the customers over on that side?
Yeah. So It took a couple of years to get the Shopify ball rolling because I was so focused on Amazon. And it took me a while to broaden my perspective on building that brand and getting that customer data and building those relationships with the customers. But so after a few years, so I got back into the online advertising game, which I was in before in the agency world, but a few years had elapsed. So I was a bit rusty, and I still am a bit rusty. But yeah, so I'm doing Facebook ads, I'm doing Google ads. We're on, of course, Instagram and YouTube. But there's been some issues though, in terms of the platforms having regulations against my types of products. So I can't advertise anything directly on my website on Facebook. Nothing. Or
weapons, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because like I sell real axes and real swords.
Yeah.
So you can't advertise that, and you can't even advertise anything on the same website, unless, I mean, there's some tricky things you could potentially do, like to try to hide it and make Amazon like not their bots not be able to see it, but it's risky and I would say gray hat.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's interesting. We used to have an outdoor store, and we ran into that issue a lot with just running random outdoor stuff, like even multi-tool shovels and stuff like that. Be like, this is a weapon. Be like, dude, anything's a weapon if you hit someone hard enough with it, like.
Yeah.
How did you get over that?
Deleted it off the site and just only emailed it, or hid the product and only emailed it.
Yep. Hid the product, and then nobody would be able to purchase.
So I think we hid it from the collections. So unless you had that exact link, you couldn't see the product. I think this is how we did it. It was a while ago. Like we haven't done Ecom for a bit. And then we would just email the product directly to that link. So Facebook itself, I'm sure they could see it because their AI is crazy, but like we found that just removing it off those like main front pages of the collections and stuff like that helped.
Gotcha. Yeah, we experimented with things like that, and eventually we did find one solution that we used an app called Locksmith on Shopify, and that makes it so you cannot access certain pages unless you go in through like a specific key, like URL.
That's
so
smart.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's a cool app too. But in order to do that, then an organic visit to the website would not be able to see this hidden collection. So we lost all of our organic sales or in direct sales of our weapons, but we were able to advertise it on Facebook. So it was like which one is going to bring more revenue thing. And then at the end of the day, we're like, we'd rather just have it available to everyone and not do the Facebook ads.
Oh, interesting.
Gotcha.
So
interesting.
So is YouTube fine with you pushing stuff, in Google? Are they fine with weapons?
Yeah, I believe YouTube is. We just started YouTube because we just got our first videos done. I was in Ukraine in November filming some videos. We got some badass videos of with full costume guys and out in the woods. It was a lot of fun. But we just started our YouTube ads. We haven't really gotten any significant data yet, so I can't really. But yes, we're able to advertise them.
That's super cool.
Very cool.
Do you guys run all your advertising in-house?
Yeah, so I hired a full-time guy from Russia, and he's kicking ass. Young, hungry dude, and he's a Facebook Messenger expert. Oh, so he's kind of a jack of all trades as well. But so we've been doing a lot of Facebook Messenger marketing, which I never even knew anything about until like 6 months ago. And essentially what we're doing is we will create a lead magnet type of, offering value in some way. And then we'll run an ad on Facebook, and they have to subscribe to our Facebook Messenger list, just like an email list, in order to do the game or the quiz or whatever it might be. And then they play this fun game or this adventure. We've written original adventures for our lead gen stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's super interesting, man. I haven't heard anyone doing that.
Yeah, so I've got a content guy who came from my customer list, who is a Viking fanatic, and he's a great writer. And he wrote a whole choose your own adventure thing for us.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And so that's getting us tons of leads on Facebook. So we run the ads for, interest and things like that, or other pages. And then they come in, they do the quiz or the adventure or whatever it might be. They subscribe to our Facebook Messenger list. And then once we get them on our Facebook Messenger list, we can eventually get their email addresses, we can get their phone numbers. And we were getting Facebook Messenger leads for like less than 10 cents, I think, per.
Wow.
In the US?
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
And then we convert those.
Dude, I have not heard anybody doing this.
It works. And so now we've only been doing it for a few months. We've got like 30,000 Facebook Messenger subscribers now.
Wow.
Shit. That's amazing.
And there's regulations on like what you can send to them. It's not as open as an email list. Like Facebook has their own rules because obviously it's their customers, so they don't want to spam people. But we still, can get a lot of interaction with our customer, with our list through there, sending out new products and offers and new blogs, and we'll announce blogs and things like that.
Wow, man, that's amazing. That's super cool. I haven't heard anybody talking about that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it either until my new guy told me. So that's the beauty of forming a team of people that know more than you do.
Yeah, big time. Honestly, too, one thing I'm a huge advocate of is like, when you hire someone, there's no point in hiring someone if they're just going to listen to what you want them to do all day, because you're still just working off one brain. And two brains is always going to be one brain. So anytime, our internal team gets stuck and there's 5 of us on the call, I'm like, hey, there's 5 brains here. Let's all come up with something, not just listen to me or someone else. But that's awesome, man, to have them bring new ideas to the table like ideally want.
Yeah, and knowing what you don't know, so you know who to bring on.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Interviewing for some stuff that you don't know is kind of a skill that you have to learn, like how to figure out, how to tease out those skills from people that you don't even know what language they're talking in terms of technical abilities and things, what they can bring to the table.
Honestly, man, I think that's what you just said is a great point there. I think a lot of people get afraid of bringing someone on the team because they're like, well, how do I know what to hire if I can't even do it myself?
Yeah,
exactly. And knowing like a little bit of everything kind of at least gives you connection points, so you kind of know what they're talking about. So coming from the agency world, at least like I understand like Facebook ads and stuff like that. So when he's talking about these lead gen things, like I understand the basic concepts there. But but yeah, so that was key for me, was bringing on people that brought another element of into our team to give us new ideas.
Yeah, totally. That's smart, man. I love that.
What's and to go back to the messenger thing, I'm assuming that your open rate on those messages is super high when you remarket to them.
Yeah, it is. I don't know our exact open rate. This is why I need my guy here with me. But it must be. I know it's much better than email, like way higher than email open rates.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to leave messages like unread in their inbox. At least a lot of people don't.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Dude, that's such a cool little tip there, man. Because I've never heard that, Tyler. You've never heard that. That's pretty rad.
No, dude, we get to hear a little bit of everything. So that's awesome. And 30,000 lists in 2 months. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty substantial. It's bigger than our email. I think it's about the same as our email list, probably.
And the email list probably took me to build too, because that's all buyers.
It's taken 5 years to get there.
Yeah. Wild. That's super cool.
So I know you can integrate Instagram messages with like DMs with Facebook now. So I'm wondering if you're going to be able to hit them on both platforms.
That's a good question. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
I don't know either, but I know that that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it like one sort of central messaging system.
Well, I think, I just got an alert that you can access your Instagram messages through your like Messenger. What is it? Messenger.com or whatever it is. Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't think of it in that capacity. That's a good point. I would assume that they would explore that, you know, it makes, would make sense.
Why hit them on one platform when you can hit them on two?
Exactly. That's right. Why we're getting to get an email address, getting the phone number of all these people,
dude,
it into our
that's awesome
customer system.
So touching on that a little bit, phone number side of things, are you guys doing much with SMS right now?
Yeah, our SMSs are crushing it actually. Like every time we do new products, we're doing SMSs, and the last product launch we did, I think we had the most sales from our SMS list over Messenger and email.
Man, that goes to show you how powerful SMS is.
When my new guy told me to start getting phone numbers, I was like, phone numbers, like I don't know about that, but it works.
Yeah,
that's so amazing.
We actually just interviewed someone on the podcast, and they do like email campaigns and SMS, and he was saying the biggest thing that they're onto right now is SMS. He said it's like just how responsive it is, the amount of purchases that drives. It's been a game changer for them. Yeah,
and you just got to make sure you have the customer service capabilities to handle those, because then people will write back on SMS and also on Messenger too. So like if you have an automated quiz on Messenger, where basically a quiz or an adventure will be run through the actual conversation in Facebook Messenger. I don't know if you guys are familiar with ManyChat.
Yeah.
So ManyChat will handle stuff like that. But then in the middle of one of these quizzes or something, somebody might ask a question that's unrelated to the quiz. So then you have to convert that over to a customer service ticket. So you're opening up more channels. So you have to have the infrastructure to be able to take in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Very true.
Capacity for sure.
Yeah. How many people are on your team?
2 full-time guys, and about 5 or 6 part-time freelancers.
That's cool. Nice, man. All remote?
All remote. We're all over the world. So
nice.
Got people from Kenya to Ukraine to India to United States to I'm in Mexico. I live in Mexico, so we're all over.
Oh, dope, man.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Once you start traveling, you never went back, huh?
Nope.
Yeah. How's COVID down there right now? Is things locked up and everything?
It's kind of like, it's sort of comparable to Florida, where I'm from. It's like
nice.
Things are semi-locked down, but people are like, they don't really care all that much.
Yeah.
So Mexico's similar.
Nice.
This is the one country where you can go essentially with no restrictions. Well, I think they just made it so that you have to. Yeah. But until like last week, it was totally wide open.
Wow.
I'm in Canada, and they just axed like you're not allowed to go to like warm, sunny destinations. Like Mexico's off the list. They killed all planes going there, and then there's a couple other spots.
Yeah, not fun. But in that sort of the COVID thing sort of aligned with my. I was what you would call a digital nomad, working online around the world. And the COVID thing started, and I was like, you know what? I think I've had enough of this. Settle down, and then it's giving me the ability to focus more on the business. And
nice.
It's hard. It's hard to run a business when you're moving every month, because you lose. Like if you're moving countries, you really lose like 5 days there. Like you're traveling, you got to set up shop, you got to figure out what you're doing, where you're living, all that stuff. So that's a challenge.
I would agree with that. I like routine. I like having my stuff where it is so I can get to work really quickly.
Totally.
Makes my life easier.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What as far as kind of what you're working with the big business now, how many like different products is it that you sell?
I think we have a lot of variations, but in terms of just product types, about 25, 30.
Gotcha. So you have 25 or 30 product types, then multiple variations of each.
Yeah. So
it's like really quite extensive.
Yeah, getting there. And I mean, like I mentioned it earlier, but the real moneymaker is just creating more great products. So once you have the formula down of, you know, the Amazon formula, and then you got your customer lists, it's just money in the bank every time you release a new product. So obviously you want to make sure you're releasing quality products. You don't want to diminish your brand. But creating those new products and releasing them is what grows the business the fastest. And that's the most fun as well, as creating, is for me at least, is developing new products. But once you got this big machine going, you got a lot of stuff going on, logistics and management and things like that. I'm now thinking I got to bring on a full, like not full time, but a independent product designer to help us put them together, because it takes a lot of time to put a real good product together. Something that, especially when you're being critiqued by essentially historians. So when we're doing authentic products, you can't just like make something up and like, oh, I saw this sword on some cartoon, I'm going to copy it. Like, no, you have to have the specifications, the design, and the historical period correct for different products.
Wow.
You know, so you kind of alluded to this, but it sounds like you've really invested a lot of time to get to know your market and who they are.
No choice. I mean, if you want to be in this business, you got to. And yeah, I had no idea who my products. I mean, like I said, I thought they were Game of Thrones fans at the beginning, and sure, there's some people buying stuff that, you know, are casuals, right? But I didn't know that there was this very intensely authentic and passionate core at the center of it, and that has been huge. And of course, gathering data, you know, through your marketing efforts helps you understand that customer. You know, all the Facebook data that you can pull in, Google Analytics data, and then of course your customer service is huge. You know, you get people, even just receiving photos back from your customers, you're like, okay, that's my customer. Like, I know these types of people. You know, and I understand them.
That's cool. How do you even? I want to figure out, like, how do you pick products and develop them? Because like, I think you're sort of making it sound easy, but I would imagine it's much more complex than you're making it sound, because you're like doing one of one, like matching everything to historical like tools and swords. I guess I don't really fully know your product line, but how do you do that?
Well, first I'm gathering data from my customers, so like I'll ask them what they want.
Is it simply just that? Like, do you say, hey, what do you want to purchase next? Or do you kind of have a different approach to it?
I'll do Instagram stories, and I'll present a couple of different ideas, or like, you know, vote on, you know, which type of product you'd like. And sometimes people will just straight up tell us, they're like, hey, you should start making this stuff because you know, might be complementary to another product, or so it's just something that they want. So that's one avenue. But of course, there's the data side. And I generally use Amazon data to vet a product idea. There's like, so for anybody who's going to be listening to this and wants to get into the Amazon game, you have to buy Jungle Scout. And I'm not affiliated with them. I'm not getting a kit pack. They have a couple tools, but the one that in particular is absolutely essential, and there's probably some competitors to them as well, but it's the Google Chrome extension, and essentially it pulls sales rank data from Amazon's system, and then it essentially matches that sales rank to a sales number of like actual revenue. So they're estimating sales revenue for every single listing on Amazon. So you can,
that's
huge, absolutely huge. So that was the big question when I was getting started, is like, how do I know? Like, that's the, how many of these am I going to sell? Like, how much am I going to make? You don't know. Am I going to sell 10, or am I going to sell 100 a day or one? So this can tell you what the competition is selling, and how much they're selling. And then it gives you an idea. And then you look at the ecosystem and you say, okay, you know, I can do better than these guys, or maybe I'll be up here in this ranking. And based on that, you can easily calculate how much you might sell. So I still to this day do a similar, vetting process for my new products, make sure that there's a big enough market for that product. And Amazon doesn't tell you everything, because there's some products that just don't do well on Amazon. For example, clothes don't always do well on Amazon. Jewelry doesn't always do well on Amazon, because there's a lot of times you want to try it on. People go to the local store, buy this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of other categories that don't do as well, but at least it gives you an idea, a general idea of something selling in the United States. And I believe they can give you data on Canada and Europe as well. So I always run the numbers, make sure that the market's big enough.
What's the minimum threshold that you set your number for before you say yay or nay on a product?
Kind of depends on the effort that goes into it. Like if it's a super easy product that can just be an accessory to like one of my current products, it doesn't have to be like a huge market. But like if I can't get $1,000 in sales a month for something, like I'm not going to look at it. I'd like to get for a time intensive product, I would like it to be more than $10,000 in sales a month for that product. Nice. But I mean, these are just rough numbers here.
Yeah.
And then you want to obviously consider the number of competitors in the market and how many reviews they have. If you're looking at a market, and like one of my buddies picked my brain on, he's probably going to get pissed at me for if I he'll know I'm talking about if he hears this. So he had this product idea, and there was 1 million people selling it on Amazon. And I'm like, dude, like, really don't think you should sell this one, man. I think you should do something with a little less competition. The top guys have 5,000, 10,000 reviews already.
Wow.
And there's, there might be 10 of those sellers that have lots and lots and lots of reviews. And then there's 75 other sellers that have significant sales too. And it's hard to differentiate yourself in this specific market. So I said, I wouldn't do it. But he really loved the product, and he thought he could compete there, and he went for it. And that's the type of thing that can get people in trouble is not being able to differentiate yourself and having too much competition in that niche. So there's a sweet spot with my strategy. You got to find that sweet spot of having enough demand and having not too much competition. So that was when I started. That was really the main key in picking my niche.
That's cool.
And something that I would sell, of course.
How so with his strategy, has he tested it? Has he got any traction, or is there any follow-up to that, or is it kind of still in development?
It didn't work out.
Didn't work out, huh?
I think
he got stuck with stock or something.
Should have listened to the pro.
But you could go into a heavy market, heavily saturated market and do well. You just got to come in with money, and so you might have to order huge quantities to get that best price. And you might have to spend a lot of money on Amazon ads. I don't recommend it, but it's possible.
I feel like that's kind of a race to the bottom though.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Especially when there's no differentiating factor of your product. Like you have to make it better. You have to make your product better.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
One question I had for you. So obviously 2020 was a shit show for a lot of people. Some people it was the best year ever. Other people it wasn't. What did you find being like an e-commerce and FBA seller? Did it impact your business at all, or did you have a positive upturn from it?
Yeah. So our sales went up because of COVID, because people were just sitting around and probably playing video games, drinking beer.
Yeah.
So our drinking products, drinking related products did really well. We had some products that went down that were more social products. Like there were certain things, like we have a helmet. You would only wear that if you were doing some kind of reenactment, combat, or festival or something. And nobody was getting together. So there's certain products that went down, but overall we did really well. We had logistics though. That was the main problem. There was huge problems with logistics and in production itself. there were restrictions on how many people could be in the factories at one time. So the production was slower. You had huge delays in shipping, and that ended up creating a fiasco that could have taken me down this year. I'll tell you the story. So essentially, it's a semi-seasonal business. Holiday season's great, so you got to plan to make sure you get stock, October, at least by November. And due to the delay in production, and then delays in ocean freight, we had a container sitting in the LA port for a month, just sitting waiting for a month, and I'm freaking out the whole time. So essentially, using the FBA model, if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's you're sending your products to Amazon. Amazon handles fulfillment to the customer for you. So you got to obviously get the stuff to Amazon. So I have a buffer. So I have a warehouse where I send it first, and then they distribute to the Amazon warehouses. And so that adds a couple extra weeks to the process. So long story short, with these delays, we weren't going to be able to get our inventory to Amazon in time. So I had to essentially set up an FBM process, which is fulfillment by merchant, where you're sending from your own warehouse or a 3PL that you partner with. So we had to, because we had our goods at the 3PL warehouse, and in the last delay that I didn't mention, Amazon has to check in the goods and then make it available to customers to sell.
Oh, wow.
And they were taking 3 to 4 weeks to do that.
Wow.
So not only are the goods delayed, even when you get them to Amazon, if you get them to Amazon,
even more delays.
They're not even going to be available. It'll say on the list, on like the front end of the listing, if you're shopping, it'll say like available January 5th, even, and it's a month ahead of time. So that screwed us. So I had to basically set up this fulfillment by merchant system where we're shipping directly to customers from our own warehouse. And we were able to, so I started taking sales before we even had the process set up. And because, you can't it would just be giving up money if you didn't. So I was scrambling to set up this process with this new warehouse to get the boxes and like the shipping boxes in stock and all these things. And at one point we had like 2,000 orders just sitting there and they hadn't been shipped yet. So freaking out, trying to get these things shipped out. And thankfully, like we were able to get most of them there on time for the customers. But that saved our asses this year for sure, being able to do that, or else we would have missed the entire holiday season.
Yeah, which is huge for,
humongous.
Yeah.
And then, so that kind of leads into another conversation of there's risks in using FBA. When you're using FBA, you are basically reliant on Amazon's logistics and supply chain to be able to check in these goods into, and not just Amazon, but the the entire supply chain, but specifically Amazon, to be able to check in the goods and make it available to customers. And they can shut off your listings at any time for one reason or another.
Wow.
It's I always have a couple listings shut down for some odd reason, like that usually doesn't make any sense. And then due to the this new FBM process that we were setting up, we had a few shipments that were late to the customer, and Amazon can see that because you have to upload the tracking number into Amazon. And so after a couple of weeks, they're like, we're going to shut your account down because you have too high of too high a shipment rate. So you have all these risks involved in using Amazon. So that's why you can never put too many eggs in that Amazon basket, at
Makes
least
sense.
once you get established as a business. So I think that's a future of Amazon is maybe getting away from FBA. Or diversifying into FBM and FBA and e-commerce, and getting your own website rocking and rolling, because like I said, it's too risky.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a good tip for anyone out there.
And you'll hear horror stories from Amazon sellers. Like you get an email that says, we've decided to shut down your selling account. And sometimes you don't get a good reason. And it's not like some, your mom and pop warehouse where you can just call them up and be like, hey, what's going on, man? no, like they might not even give you a human being to talk to.
Wow.
Yeah. So their
Reminds me of
support
Facebook.
their support isn't as good either.
No, their support is not good. I mean, they're trying to improve it, and if you get to the right team, internal teams and stuff, it's good. But the first line of defense that they have for service is bad.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Dude, we see that with Facebook now, and then like I'm sure you know too, but now it's like you don't even get a real person at all. It's just AI decides everything.
They say I'm not able to sell some of my products in my Facebook catalog because they say I'm selling animals.
What?
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So
Jeff and Mark got to get together here and iron this shit out.
Yeah. So how do you guys handle that? Like, is there an avenue that you can actually get to a human?
So the best bet is to hire an agency that has agency support.
Yeah.
That's all we figured out so far, man. Mm-hmm. Like new accounts don't come with live chat. It's even like impossible to submit a ticket unless it's through like, or like any support, unless it's through like the avenues that they decide, which is like automated systems for that specific problem. So yeah, like when there was live chat for everyone, it wasn't bad, right? Like you could find some good people in there and they would work through your problem for you. But yeah, all we figured out is agency because they usually have VIP chat access. That's it.
I'll give it a try. Yeah, it's a little scary. With Amazon, you get situations like that all the time. Like for example, we did a removal order where we wanted to move inventory from Amazon to our 3PL for one reason or another, and we moved a lot of products. It was probably $20,000 worth of products or something, and they shipped it to the wrong place, and it showed up at some random guy's door in Oregon or something. And thank God this guy called me, contacted me. He looked up our business, and he said, "Yeah, I just received like 6 pallets of your stuff at my doorstep."
Wow.
And Amazon just denied it essentially, and you have to, and then they'll just send you like a cookie cutter response, from their, probably automated. And it took us, I think, 10 months to fight that, and we eventually did get reimbursed for those goods.
Wow.
And I was able to recover them from the guy.
So you just had to hire a trucking company to come there and pick your stuff up and move it?
Yeah, exactly.
Hilarious. Imagine That's just crazy. Coming out your door one day and there just being 6 pallets of like random stuff. You're like, what the hell?
I like drinking horns. You're like, man, I made some poor drunken decisions last night.
This guy had like 400 swords.
Oh man.
Unreal.
That's amazing. Oh
yeah.
That's hilarious, dude.
Here's a little tip. If anybody's in the logistics game, e-commerce game, there's a website called YouShip. It's awesome. It's like, how do you describe it? You post a job, you need something shipped, and like in this situation, I needed those things moved. And
400 swords.
You're right. I got quotes from traditional like trucking companies, and they were a little expensive. And I put a job up on YouShip, and then shipping companies bid on it. So you get all these offers, and it's like it was less than half the price of the ones that I was getting independently. So if you ever need to move any goods within the United States, I don't know if they do international, but within the United States, that YouShip website is fantastic.
That's a great tip, man.
Yeah. I wonder if they transport cars.
I wouldn't be, I mean, they have, they link to, or they have all types of shipping companies within their network. So you can find full trailers or just a dude with a truck or like anything in between.
Cool.
Anything in between. So I would assume so. Yeah.
Genius.
That's cool.
Yeah, go for it.
Go on this one. So someone wants to start an online business. They want to get into e-commerce. What would be like 3 things that you would like tell that person to help them get up and get started? I
would say start writing down ideas. start every single thing that you think you see that sparks an idea, or you think you might be able to sell or want to sell. Just write it down. Keep that running list. That's how I started, and that really helped me. Number two, I would say find a way to get actual data on those products, like the tool that I recommended for Amazon.
Jungle Scout, right?
Jungle Scout, like those types of tools.
How much is Jungle Scout?
When I bought it, it was like a one-time, I think $80 or something. Right? I don't want. That was years and years ago. I'm sure it's different. I got grant. You just pay once in its lifetime. So finding some kind of tool that can give you real data on the marketplace that you're looking to sell, to vet that idea, and then get customer feedback. You need to get real feedback from real people before you put in too much time and money into something. Like the whole lean model framework idea of starting a business. I subscribe to that. So I think those would be my 3 tips.
Gotcha. Cool. And would you initially, I think you said this earlier, but you would launch on Amazon and then kind of focus, if it showed some promise, maybe look at growing on Shopify from there?
Yes, I would. Starting on Shopify is, it's tough, as I'm sure you guys know. Have you guys done Shopify before?
Yeah.
Gabriel, you?
Oh, yeah.
We did a few million in revenue on that.
Okay, so you guys
5, I think.
It's definitely a building process, a long-term thing.
In
I think a lot more people fail at starting an e-commerce business on their own website versus on Amazon. I would guess that. So that's why I would say, that's really the main reason why I would say start on Amazon.
Yeah.
Nice.
I guess the hardest part is getting the customer, and the customer's already there on Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the 2 toughest things are finding, picking, and developing a really good product, and then finding customers. Yeah.
Agreed. Well, we've done this for an hour now, guys.
Have we?
It's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Dude, there's some great tips in there. That ManyChat thing, I haven't heard anyone talking about that.
Dude, that was amazing.
And then that Jungle Scout tool, that sounds badass too. I couldn't, who knows what it is? Maybe it's $200 in a month now, whatever. But that's a whole hell of a lot cheaper than spending $3,000 on inventory for a product you think might not, or you don't know will ever sell. I'd rather spend $200 and get a no.
Exactly. And if you don't have that tool, you can sort of eyeball it with reviews. That's like the layman's, the way of doing it. Like if you see a niche where there's nobody has any reviews, it's kind of like, okay, well, probably nobody's buying it.
Yeah.
I always assume some of those reviews are fake though, like crazy reviews. I don't know.
They used to be, but Amazon's been purging a lot of these fake reviews. Kind of like how Google, does their algorithm updates for SEO type purposes. You have the same thing going on Amazon where suddenly you'll see reviews go in half for certain listings. None of mine, because I've never manipulated reviews before, but I would never do that.
Never.
Hear that, Jeff? Never.
All right, man. I don't know if you're open to this, but if people want to reach you, do you want people to reach you? Do you not want people to reach you?
They can reach me.
All right. What's the best way?
That's a good question. What's the best way to reach me? You can reach me. Send a raven to.
Perfect. Very on brand.
Let's do email. You can reach me on email. It's neildgoldsmith@gmail.com.
Cool. You might get some people hitting you up, asking some ecom questions. You never know.
Sure. Happy to help.
Yes. Thank you for everyone to listen today. For everyone watching, please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube. And for everyone listening, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Only 5 stars. That's all we accept. Nothing else.
All It's
All right,
manipulation.
guys. Well, yeah, I mean, why not? It's just like Amazon. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.